How can equitable access and benefit sharing from biodiversity resources contribute to achieving Goal 15, Life on Land of the SDGs?
So, if I understand well, the question is the relationship between SDG 15, Life and Land, and the access and equitable use of biodiversities. It is a key element about equitable use. One is sustainable use of it. Secondly is the access and benefit sharing implies the sustainable use and selling and production and other activities. And this is specifically good if one gives an example. In a society we live today, all of the medicinal plants are in different parts of the world where they are planted in the land and the forests. So if the forest conservation is not sustainably done on the use of it, it is impossible to make access and benefit sharings in regarding to the plants within the forest. So the society which are protecting those forests, maintaining conservations, needs to be able to have equitable access to sell it as well as to get resources in order to maintain it for the biodiversity. So it is connected. It doesn't look connected, but it is heavily connected because partly is life and land, which means our life, our well-being, our health is connected to the land we use. The land we use, we need to keep it, conserve it in a sustainable way, and it has to be equitably used between those who have it and those who do not have it.
What role does traceability and ethical sourcing play in supporting Goal 12, responsible consumption and production of the SDGs?
So the relationship between SDG 12, which is sustainable consumption and sustainable production, and traceability is that the fact for the producers, they need to trace and track how sustainable they used it, how did they manage it. And from consumers, you need to know your products which you are consuming in your body is sustainably managed in the forest or non-forest, in any agriculture products, in any production itself. And it is a relationship between you and your products when it comes to SDG 12. As a consumers, you can ask, where did you buy it? But you need to have the right to verify where the producer have bought it, how did he use it, whether they were sustainable in their management of production, in the management of resource use, in the management of after the production, water or other activities related to the products. So traceability is not only for the quality, which is important for the producer, but it's also for the consumer. You need to trace and track and to verify what the producer is saying. And traceability codes will enable you to verify what the producers say. And a producer, when they know their consumers are controlling and verifying, they will be much more sustainable than unconscious consumer, a consumer which you tell him and is not using its right of verification. But for the verification, you need traceability code. Traceability code, we're talking about who is the farmer behind it. Is the family working? Is there children and labor behind it? And then is it harvested properly? What is the post-harvesting loss? Is everything in the traceability code? How is it transported? Is it sustainably transported? All these aspects are included in the traceability code, and traceability code provides you an effective implementation of SDG 12, which is traceable consumption and sustainable consumer and sustainable producer.
What role does traceability and ethical sourcing play in supporting Goal 14, Life Below Water of the SDGs?
And regarding to traceability's implementation to SDG 14 is very important in the process of production. You need to try to trace and track, and especially the production and the packaging material is the very key element to the Cs. Let's take an example. Let's take the example of coffee. Coffee is, for example, uses a lot of water, and the water will go, and if the water is not clean, if you cannot trace and track where the elements of washing are gone, then you will not have a good SDG 14 implementation. So coffee is, and it is processing the implication of it. But when it comes to the other aspect is for example, packaging materials. Packaging materials are one of the most difficult in the process of productions. And this you can trace, track, and make the producer responsible for that.
How can African countries ensure sustainable economic growth and promote Goal 10, reduced inequalities, through responsible access to their biodiversity?
Well, it is when it comes to the African context, which everybody knows are the minerals, the raw materials, which are in the forest, in the biodiversity, which are endemic products. Often the endemic products are closer to the community who have not a knowledge on how to manage it and how to sell it in an equitable way. So their life depends on that. But if we don't provide them access, and benefit sharing means benefit from what they are conserving, the forest will be eliminated, which implies in this aspect equal distribution is from the farmer, the educated, the low income, middle income should be able to have equal access, and as well as development to that aspect. What does it mean? When we are talking in today's context, is that the raw material is totally taken to the European or to Asia, to China, and process it. But we should have the possibility for the African countries also to manage their resources and to process their resources in a more efficient, sustainable way. What it means, the water consumption, the separation of the processed and byproducts, all the sustainable activities has to be done in Africa, and this should give access also to resources for the youth in Africa to generate their incomes better. So environmental sustainability is the new kind of job which needs to be given also to the African youth rather than to do that in other parts of the world. So it is necessary for many African countries to have within the value chain of all natural resources which are used from the African continent, that includes your mobiles, that includes the IT technology we use, that includes the electrical car we are using. Those resources are coming from natural resources within Africa, and part of the processing needs to be done in Africa so that the job creation for the use is there. And so the equitable use of natural resources should be rethought again, and that is the way the African countries also can manage sustainably the resources. Because if the community are not having the advantage of using the resources, then there will be only exploitation and sicknesses, so not advantages for both sides.